Hello, guys. So today's episode is going to be a little different. I don't think I've actually done this before. Um, Today, since it's 413, I figured I would tell you guys a story about my first con and my absolute favorite memory from the Homestuck fandom. Um, so when I was probably 13, yeah, I believe I was 13, I went to my first convention, and that was Florida SuperCon, which so we drove for like 2, 3 hours to get there because by no means is Miami close to my house. It's a pretty far drive, the same way Disney World is. I think both of them are about 2, 3 hours, roughly the same distance. Um, but while I was there, I was wearing this shirt. I was dressed as Carcat, and it was, oh, the cosplay was terrible. It was horrible. I didn't even know I was going to this con until like the week of, and my friend Izzy is like, "Hey, man, I'm going to this convention. You want to come?" And I'm like,
Hell yeah!
She was cosplaying as Roxy, and I was Carcat because this was the only shirt I had pertaining to Homestuck, and I really wanted to cosplay, so I had the horns. My hair was dyed black, and it looked nothing like his hairstyle. But I didn't have any gray paint because I had no money at the time. She paid for me to go, which was the sweetest thing ever. I've never had this happen in any other fandom except for the Homestuck fandom. And so we're here, and we're waiting in this like 4 hour long line because Andrew Hussey was there, okay? And there was so many Homestucks. So there was this big ass line that like here's where Andrew Hussey is, like right here. And then way back here is the where the line exits the building. And then there's like three little loops, or not really. There's like three lines looping around to go in. And I'm like in the second little line where it just kind of like loops back around before it's going that way. I'm sitting there and it's hot as balls because it's summer in Florida. And I think it was actually around July, late July, which is one of the hottest parts of the year. And Florida, being Satan's descended asshole, is so fucking hot. Um, So I'm sitting there in line, and I see this Gamzee cosplayer, and she's holding a Fago can. It's not opened or anything. And I looked to my friend Izzy. I'm like, man, I would kill for a Fago right now. It is so hot. And I guess she heard me because she comes over and hands me the can, and then and I'm like, oh my god, thank you so much. She says anything for my best bro, and I'm just like, ah, and just like it was so sweet. And I actually still have the can. And the reason for that is I didn't have anything to get signed by Andrew Hussey, and I didn't realize we could just get stuff signed. So I had him sign the can for me. And so I now have a signed Fago can by Andrew Hussey. And that's how I got it, because one of the sweetest people I've ever met, I didn't even get their name. I just know them as that awesome Gamzee cosplayer. It was so sweet, man. Like, I went through the can in like minutes because it was so freaking hot. But I just thought that was the sweetest thing, and that's why I will always be like such an avid fan of Homestuck and everyone in the fandom, because for me, the fan base is a huge, huge part of being into something. It's actually the reason I'm not into Undertale, because I tried. I liked the game when it first came out. I liked the fact that Toby Fox made it because he did make the soundtrack for Homestuck, and I don't know what else he may have helped with, but I do know that I like him as a person. However, when he made the game, I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. It's like revolutionary. It's so different from any game I've played. And then I started meeting people in the fandom, and I think Homestuck may have ruined me for that because everyone is so accepting and just sweet. Um, in Undertale, it wasn't the same way. I never cosplayed or anything. My friend did. He cosplayed as Sans, and he went to a panel, and the people there were rude to him because he's always used to cosplaying as Gamzee, so like really like hyper kind of. So he whenever he goes to a con, he associates being hyper with it. So like instinctively, he's like excited and hyper, and people got mad at him for it. And if you were in the Homestuck fandom and you were cosplaying as a character, you were a little out of character, I don't think anybody would care. Because me geeking out and being so happy was so out of character for Carcat. And she didn't care. She still gave me a soda can. Or she still gave me a fucking Faygo, man. I'm like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. And it just left me with a good feeling after the con. And obviously, my friend was not so lucky with having a good feeling after that con. Because that's the reason I'm not into a lot of things, actually. But off is the same way that Homestuck is, and I think that might be because so many Homestuck fans are into off. I didn't know there was a correlation, but apparently there is, because in everything I've seen on off, every time I look it up, there's Homestuck related stuff. I'm just like, huh, okay, well. And everyone I've met who's into it was also into Homestuck, or acts like the same kind of way, if that makes any sense. But that's one of the reasons I will always be so, like, I'll always be into Homestuck, because of that experience. That people in the fandom are just so sweet and caring and accepting, and a lot of other fandoms aren't. So that's a really important thing for me in fandoms, is that you have to really get along with the other people in it, or else it's no fun. Like, why bother being into something if the other people that are into it are just going to be an asshole to you? So hopefully this gets across to the Undertale fandom, because a lot of you guys are assholes. And if you want people to be in your fandom and keep it alive, then stop. That's why the Homestuck fandom has been alive this long. For, 6 years now it's been going on, and Homestuck is done. It's over. But the fans of it are still fans. Likely because of how sweet the fandom is and how great it is. But Undertale just isn't like that. There's been a lot of people just kind of dropping out of it because of the same reason I did. And that's not how you should make a fandom. And it's nothing against the creator, because I have nothing against Toby Fox. His game is great. It's a great game. But the fandom has taken a turn. So just keep that in mind when you join a fandom. Just be as nice as you can to people, especially the other people in your fandom, and give a good impression on it, especially if they're new. If there's someone who's like brand new to the fandom and they're just getting it, and then somebody's a dick to them, why are they gonna stay? They have so much other things they could just do. Like, they could join a different fandom. Like, you want to keep people in your fandom, yeah? But yeah, so this has been my favorite experience in the Homestuck fandom in celebration of 413. Yeah, I do hope you guys are having a great 413, and do something Homestuck related, okay? Because I definitely want this fandom to stay alive as long as it can, because everybody in it is so nice, and I definitely love the fandom, and definitely want it to stay alive as long as possible, because I might want to get back into it and start cosplaying again, because that was always really fun for me. I would end this episode the same way as I usually do, but I feel like maybe it's in bad taste. Um, so, have a good 413, and try not to be sad.